Imagine if the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader, awoke not in the Star Wars galaxy, but in the grim darkness of the far future. A universe where there is only war, and the Force itself is but a whisper within the warp. What would become of the galaxy if the Emperor's right hand became the Emperor's space marine? The galaxy died around him. Flames tore across the sky, the Death Star collapsing in a roar of light and vacuum. The mask that had once defined him, that hollow black visage, cracked, the rasp of his breath stuttering into silence. Anakin Skywalker was gone. Darth Vader had fallen, or so the galaxy believed. But death is not the end. Not in this universe. Not when the warp watches. When his final breath escaped his lungs, something else reached for him. It was not the luminous calm of the Force. It was hunger, endless, whispering, alive, a will, unbroken, a soul forged in rage. You are not done yet, Lord of Shadows. He tried to resist. He had broken emperors, destroyed worlds. Yet the pull was greater than any gravity, stronger than destiny itself. The Force was silent. The warp was not. The storm took him. There was nobody there, only fragments of armor, drifting through the madness between realities. The mask, his face spun through the tides of unreality, carried by the screams of a billion dead stars. He awoke to nothingness. Then, sensation. His mind flooded with pain. A tide of thought not his own, memories of worlds he had never seen, prayers to gods he did not know, the psychic howling of a trillion mortal minds. This is not the Force, he rasped. Something laughed, a voice that was not a voice. The warp itself seemed to recognize him, a creature of will, of control. You sought to command your galaxy's light and darkness. You will fit nicely here. Vader rose. Though he had no body, his consciousness coalesced into a shadow of form, black armor reforging around him from the very madness of the void. He clenched a hand, and lightning screamed from the ether, not Force lightning, warp lightning. Every molecule of reality trembled in answer. He could feel it, something massive, distant, watching, an intellect so old, so vast, it dwarfed the dark side itself, the Emperor of mankind. Far away upon the golden throne of terror, the master of humanity stirred. For the first time in millennia, his eternal vigil was interrupted by a ripple in the immaterium, a presence not of chaos, but of discipline. The Emperor's hollow eyes turned toward the storm. A soul unlike any I have seen, he whispered across the void. Dark, yet chained by purpose. The warp buckled, reality screamed, and Darth Vader, or whatever he was becoming, felt himself pulled downward, through fire and time, toward a galaxy not his own. When he awoke again, the sky was not full of stars, it was full of saints and corpses, and the name whispered by the machine god's children echoed through the halls of Mars. An artifact, alive. The world he awoke to was red, not the crimson glow of blaster fire, nor the burning embers of Mustafar. This red was metallic, industrial, the endless foundries of Mars. Sparks cascaded from overhead cranes. Giant servo arms moved in slow mechanical rhythm, welding sacred machinery under the chanting hymns of the Adeptus Mechanicus. The air stank of oil and ozone, of sanctified decay. And at the center of it all, a sarcophagus, unlike any they had seen before. What have you brought me, Magos? Rasped Archmagus Inathar. His vox carried the rusted reverence of a man too long merged with the machine. It is no mere relic, replied his subordinate, a low-ranking engineer. We found it drifting within the Noctis Labyrinthus. The machine spirit resists us. The object pulsed. Black metal, smooth yet scarred by battle, engraved with sigils not of the Imperium, nor any known Xenos, and beneath its shell, movement. It breathes, whispered one of the priests. The sarcophagus cracked open. Steam vented outward, curling like the breath of a dying god. Within, a figure lay entombed, tall, black-armored, his chest scarred by ancient burns. His face was hidden beneath a broken mask of obsidian. The sound came first, a slow, mechanical exhale. Then, a whisper. Where? am I? The Entenseers recoiled as the figure rose, hydraulic limbs grinding, servo cables flexing with unnatural precision. Sensors went blind. The data spires began to weep binary tears. The man, the machine, stood. He towered above them, armor blacker than the void. His presence pressed against their minds, not psychic, not mechanical, something else. Identify yourself, demanded the Archmagos, his mechadendrites flaring. The being turned, head tilting, gaze unseen behind his shattered mask. For a moment, the air vibrated with a low hum, as though the warp itself held its breath. Then came a voice, cold and commanding. I am no longer Anakin Skywalker. I am no longer Darth Vader. Then, what are you? What I must be? His hand clenched. Metal screamed. A dozen servo arms crumpled inward, crushed by invisible force. The priests fell to their knees. Some screamed demonics, others whispered divine. Only Xanathar saw it for what it was, power without precedent. Praise be the Omnissiah, the Archmagos murmured, trembling. The machine god has taken form. From the far reaches of the galaxy, a message pulsed across the psychic web of the Imperium. It reached the throne on Terra. We have found a living artifact. It wields the power of thought itself, and for the first time in centuries, the Emperor's eyes turned toward Mars. Bring it to me. The rebirth of Darth Vader, the Black Paladin of Terra, had begun. The sky above Terra burned gold and black as the Mechanicus Arc descended through layers of radiation storms and sacred shielding. Inside its sanctum, encased in containment fields and surrounded by 100 chanting tech priests, the being once known as Darth Vader stood silent. He did not resist. He did not move. He simply breathed. The sound, deep, rhythmic, mechanical, echoed through the vox channels of the ship. Even hardened engineers found themselves whispering prayers to calm their machine spirits. What manner of relic is this? Murmured one custodian, as the vessel entered orbit. Not a relic, answered another, a weapon, or a warning. The Ark of Divinity docked upon Terra's orbiting fortress. Processions of gold-armored custodians awaited, their halberds gleaming with psychic light. The air trembled with reverence and tension, as Vader was escorted down halls that had not known footsteps from beyond the Imperium in 10,000 years. Every servo in his armor resonated like an echo of destiny. They brought him before the gates of the Golden Throne. The custodians halted. Even they dared not proceed without command. Only Vader walked forward, unshaken, his heavy boots striking the marble like the march of inevitability. As the doors opened, a storm of psychic force poured forth, the pressure of a god barely contained by flesh and circuitry. The Emperor of mankind sat upon his throne, a corpse sustained by the will of billions, his soul burning like a dying sun. And for the first time since the heresy, the air around him moved. The moment their gazes met, the warp itself bent. Every servo skull in the chamber crashed to the ground. Every psycho within 1,000 miles screamed. For these were not two mortals, but two empires embodied. The Emperor's voice boomed within Vader's mind, not as sound but as command. What are you, shadow of a dead age? Vader's response was neither fear nor reverence, only conviction. I was a weapon. I served an emperor once. Now I serve only my will. The golden throne pulsed with golden lightning. You wield power born of the warp, yet twisted, alien. You are not Danon, not Psyker, where I came from, Vader said, his voice like thunder in a tomb. We called it the Force, a will that binds all things. The Emperor's eyes narrowed, sons of knowledge and suspicion. The warp, by another name perhaps. You were forged by darkness, yet you command it. Darkness is a tool, Vader said coldly. So is faith. The chamber shuddered, even the Emperor's psychic flames flickered. For in those words he saw not defiance, but understanding. You seek purpose, the Emperor said finally. Then I will give it to you. You will be reforged in my image, a warrior beyond the Astartes. My Black Paladin. Vader knelt slowly, his gaze never breaking. "Then teach me to conquer your gods." And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Emperor's withered lips curved into the faintest echo of a smile. "Rise, Lord Vader of Terror." He dreamt of lightning, not the divine crackle of the Force, nor the storm of the dark side's rage, but warp fire, alive and hungry, coiling around his broken body like chains. When he awoke, he was no longer within the audience chamber of the Golden Throne. He lay upon a slab of gold and iron, deep within the bioforges of the Adeptus Mechanicus, surrounded by chanting priests and the Emperor's most trusted custodians. The chamber pulsed with sacred machinery, gears the size of starships grinding to life, cables dripping oil and blood. The air shimmered with the hum of creation. Subject Desitation Vader droned Magos Zenithar, his voice like static and prayer interwoven. Genetic compatibility exceeds Astartes thresholds. Neural capacity, post-human. Warp resonance, anomalous. Vader did not move. His body, or what remained of it, was submerged in metallic ichor. His flesh had been peeled, burned, and replaced by living adamantium. His spine was a machine. His bones, latticework alloy. His blood, molten data. And above him, suspended in golden light, the Emperor watched. "He endures," spoke a custodian. "He must," replied the Emperor, his psychic voice echoing across the forge. "He was broken once before. This time, he will be remade as perfection." The Emperor extended his will, golden tendrils of psychic light, threading through Vader's form, probing, shaping, rewriting. The pain was infinite. Every nerve burned with divine electricity. Every thought was invaded by the Emperor's consciousness, dissected, reformed, perfected. Vader's breath became a roar of defiance. "You would make me your puppet," he growled through the agony. "No," came the Emperor's voice, calm and vast. "I would make you a god who serves." The words cut deeper than the scalpels. Vader's mind flashed with images of the Jedi who had failed him, the Emperor he had betrayed, the son he had saved. And now, another Emperor, one who offered him neither redemption nor damnation, only purpose. "You carry within you a power unlike the warp," the Emperor said. "I will harness it." "You cannot control the dark side," Vader rasped, as molten circuits fused into his veins. "Then perhaps," the Emperor replied, "it shall control you." Days or centuries passed. Time meant nothing within the forges of Mars. When the light finally dimmed, the figure that rose from the slab was not Darth Vader, nor was he Anakin Skywalker. He was something else. Taller than any space marine, clad in obsidian ceramite veined with crimson energy. His helmet, reconstructed, now bore the sigil of the Imperium upon its brow. He took his first breath. The sound echoed across the forge world, deep, resonant, eternal, high, HH, and the machine spirits trembled. "Behold," the Emperor said, standing above the flames, "the first of a new order, a Primarch forged not from blood, but from death itself." The moment he took his first step, the forges of Mars trembled, the air rippled with unseen force, not the raw warp energy of psychers, but something older, something that defied the boundaries of this universe. Every machine spirit screamed in reverence or terror, and the galaxy listened. Deep within the forge cathedrals, alarms blared. The sudden psychic disturbance rippled across the noosphere, a pulse that reached into the warp, a beacon to things that should never have known his name. The daemons came. They tore through the veil like shadows given form, shrieking laughter and madness. Their bodies were molten scripture, claws inscribed with names of fallen worlds. The Adeptus Mechanicus fell to their knees, reciting binary prayers too terrified to fight. Even the custodies hesitated. Vader did not. He moved through the red haze like an executioner. His armor glowed with internal light, burning sigils of the Emperor carved into the black ceramite. Each step shattered the ground beneath him. The first daemon lunged, a creature of teeth and hate, a hound of corn. Vader's hand rose, the air bent. The creature froze mid-leap, its body contorted, limbs snapping in every direction at once. The sound, a wet crunch, echoed like thunder. Vader's gauntlet clenched, and the beast imploded into ash. The onlookers whispered in awe. "He channels the Emperor's will." "No," whispered Zenithar, trembling. "He channels something else." More daemons surged forward, dozens, then hundreds. Warp fire consumed the air. Reality buckled. Vader's blades ignited, crimson energy crackling along twin power edges forged from Imperial technology and his own memory of the lightsaber. He waded into the storm. Every strike was pure economy, no wasted movement. Every death fed his momentum. But what truly horrified those who watched was not his power, it was his control. He moved with surgical purpose, bending the warp itself as if it were an obedient machine. The daemons howled not in rage but in confusion. Something was wrong. They felt their own power weakening, their connection to chaos fading. The warp resisted him. He resisted back, and won. When the last daemon fell, silence filled the forge. The air smelled of ozone and burnt dreams. The floor was slick with ichor that evaporated into nothingness. Vader deactivated his blades. The red glow faded, leaving only the rhythmic breath, mechanical, eternal, absolute. He turned toward the Mechanicus priests. "What am I?" he asked. The Emperor's voice answered from everywhere and nowhere. "You are proof that divinity can be engineered." Vader looked at his gloved hand, at the faint tremor that wasn't weakness, but memory. "And what if I refuse?" "Then, my son," the Emperor said, "you will learn that even gods bleed." The fires of Mars had barely cooled before the orders came from Terra. Deploy the Black Paladin. A crusade had begun, not of conquest, but cleansing. The daemon tide of Algoroth, a warp-infested system where even light had learned to scream, had consumed 5 Imperial fleets. Billions dead. Whole planets turned into living shrines of chaos. Even the Inquisition refused to enter. Now, a single ship was sent, crewed by silence, carrying a god. The Sanctus Venator cut through the void like a blade of obsidian. Inside, Darth Vader, reforged, reborn, knelt in meditation, gone were the fragile respirators of his old life. Now his breathing came through living armor, each inhale drawing in psychic energy, each exhale bending the air around him. He reached outward, not into the force. That familiar tide was gone. But the warp answered nonetheless, its chaos recoiling from him as if burned by discipline incarnate. "You fear me," he murmured. "Good." The Venator dropped into real space above Algoroth Prime, a world half devoured by its own atmosphere. Thunderstorms the size of continents raged below. Vader descended through the storm alone. His landing shattered the crust, molten rock erupting around him. Daemons poured from fissures, drawn by the scent of his power, winged, horned, dripping corruption. They encircled him, and for the first time, chaos looked upon something it did not understand. "What are you?" hissed one, its voice like broken glass. "Your ending." The first strike was instantaneous, a crimson arc slicing through air and flesh and memory. The lightsaber roared to life, ancient and alien, now fueled by the Emperor's design and the warp's unwilling cooperation. Daemons fell by the dozen, their essence annihilated before it could return to the immaterium. Every swing of his blade unwove reality, restoring the material world where he passed. Every motion was purpose, no fury wasted, no energy uncontrolled. It wasn't just slaughter, it was surgery. In orbit, the custode observing the operation through psychic relay was silent. "He cleanses with precision," one whispered. "He fights like the Emperor himself," said another. But in the Golden Palace, the Emperor's brow furrowed. He felt the disturbance, a power that was his equal, yet unbound by the warp. A force that could shape the immaterium without succumbing to it. And deep within the eye of terror, the Chaos Gods stirred. They recognized the signature of their ancient enemy, not the Emperor, but something far worse. A will that could not be tempted. A god who served no master. "He is neither ours, nor his," whispered Sanch through a storm of flame. He is the shadow of both. When the smoke cleared, Ulgaroth was silent. No corruption remained. No daemons dared return. Vader stood alone amid the ashes, looking toward the stars. You wanted a weapon, he whispered. Now you have one. But as his armor cooled, he felt it, faint but real. The first echo of his old self. Not Vader, not Skywalker. Something new, something free. The name spread faster than the light of victory. Vader, the black blade of terror, the Emperor's silent champion, a god of war, wrapped in shadow and steel. Where he walked, daemons burned. Where he spoke, armies obeyed. And where he breathed, entire worlds found faith again. For the first time in centuries, the Imperium tasted hope, not through prayer, through fear. From hive worlds to forge moons, from the depths of the Schola Progenium to the ranks of the Astra Militarum, whispers grew into hymns. He is the Emperor's will to make flesh. The angels of death follow his shadow. The warp itself bends to his command. The ecclesiarchy called him the Black Angel. The Inquisition called him the Anomaly. The people simply called him Savior. But Vader remained silent. He did not seek worship. He did not crave redemption. He obeyed, for now. He stood upon the bridge of the Invictus Rex, watching a distant war unfold on the surface of a heretic world. The planet burned, its cities collapsing under orbital bombardment. A voice broke through the comms, a young officer trembling as he spoke. Lord Vader, the enemy is routed. Shall we proceed with the exterminatus order? The red lenses of Vader's mask turned slowly. No. But my lord, the Emperor's command. The Emperor commands victory. Vader interrupted. Not genocide. The bridge fell silent. The crew dared not breathe. Below on the surface the heretics fled, only to find him waiting. He descended alone, a black shape falling through the smoke. Bolter fire cut through the air, last blasts searing across his armor. But he didn't slow. He crushed a Chaos Marine with a flick of his hand, snapping ceramite and bone alike. Another charged him, and was caught mid-stride, lifted effortlessly into the air. Your gods are deaf, Vader said. Mine is not. The traitor's armor imploded, and the ground around Vader shattered in a sphere of kinetic fury. When the dust cleared, only silence remained. Above terror, the Emperor watched. His mind reached across the psychic web, studying his creation, his son, his weapon, his heresy. Vader was evolving faster than anticipated. His power had transcended the warp itself. His presence bent reality without invoking chaos. A thought rippled through the Emperor's mind like a fracture in eternity. He could replace me. And yet, there was a strange satisfaction in that realization. Perhaps, he thought, humanity's salvation would not come from blind devotion, but from the will of one who had already slain his gods. But the warp never sleeps, and chaos learns. From the depths of the eye, something watched him back. A voice like molten hate whispered, once a servant of an emperor, always a servant of power. Faith is a weapon, and the Imperium has always wielded it without hesitation. But now, that weapon has turned inward. The cults of the Black Blade spread faster than the Administratum could suppress them. Pilgrims carried fragments of his image, sketches, blood-stained cloth, even shards of scorched ceramite taken from battlefields he'd cleansed. In the lower hives, his name was whispered before sleep. In the upper spires, nobles commissioned gold icons, depicting him standing beside the Emperor himself. The ecclesiarchy, sensing its control slipping, called emergency convocation in the cathedral of the God Emperor reborn. This heresy must be crushed, thundered Cardinal Zaffin. The people have mistaken a weapon for a savior. And what? Countered Archdeacon Law. If the weapon is salvation, the chamber erupted into shouts, prayers and blood. No vote was taken. Faith had already chosen its side. On Terra, the custodes watched the phenomenon unfold in silence. They were warriors, not priests, but even they could feel it, the psychic weight of belief shifting. He inspires, one said. He divides, replied another. And above them, Unseen, the Emperor's golden aura dimmed slightly, not from weakness, but from competition. Meanwhile, on the far edge of the segmentum solar, the eye of terror pulsed like a wound reopening. Within it, a council of shadows gathered, the four great powers of chaos, stirred to agitation by something they could neither touch nor twist. Khorne raged first, his voice shaking the realm. "He denies me. He kills without frenzy." Slaanesh cooed in mock sympathy. "He feels nothing. He's empty." "It's exquisite." Nurgle's laughter rolled like thunder. "He has conquered decay, but not yet despair." And then, from the labyrinthine haze of lies and prophecy, Tsench spoke. "No, my brothers, he is not our enemy yet." The others fell silent. "He has known the fall," said the changer of ways. "He has served one false god and survived. He understands betrayal, power, and destiny."
"He is one of us."
Khorne snarled. "You would make him your puppet?" "No," hissed Tsench. "I would make him our reflection." And so the idea was born. A temptation not of blood, lust, or rot, but of truth. They would not seduce him with corruption. They would tempt him with freedom. Back on Terra, Vader stood before a sea of soldiers, newly conscripted, newly faithful. They knelt not to banners, not to saints, but to him. He felt it, their belief pressing against his mind, like heat. He hated it, and yet, beneath the disgust, a dangerous thought flickered. If faith is what moves them, could it not be shaped? He looked up at the skies, his respirator hissing like the breath of a storm. "The Emperor rules by fear," he whispered. "Perhaps it is time mankind learned to obey through strength." And somewhere in the warp, Tsench smiled. "Yes, learn, little god. Sleep." A word without meaning, for the thing that was once human. That even gods must dream, and the warp never sleep. When the visions began, they came not as nightmares, but as memories reborn. Vader walked through fields of fire, beneath skies that wept oil and ash. He heard the hum of the lightsaber, the one weapon he thought he had buried with his past. A voice echoed through the smoke. "Do you remember Anakin?" He froze. That name, that curse. The shadow stepped forward, tall, cloaked, radiant. It was himself, before the fall. Anakin Skywalker, Jedi Knight, eyes of hope, voice of innocence, everything he had destroyed. "You were supposed to bring balance," the illusion said softly. "And I did," Vader replied. "I brought silence." The younger face smiled sadly. "No, you only traded one master for another." The warp pulsed around them, flickering between galaxies, from Coruscant to Terra, from Jedi Temple to Golden Throne. And there, beyond the mirage, the gods of chaos watched, their laughter a harmony of lies. "Show him what he lost," whispered Slaanesh. "Show him what he could be," hissed Sentence. "Show him blood," growled Khorne. "Show him rot," crooned Nurgle. The images twisted, Padme's dying eyes, the burning of the Jedi Temple, Luke's voice, calling through the smoke. Each memory dug deeper, slicing through armor, through will, through faith. "You fought for peace and became death," said Anakin's ghost. "You fought for order and birthed chaos. You serve an emperor again, Anakin. Tell me, when will you stop kneeling?" Vader's breath grew ragged. The Force, or whatever still remained of it, trembled in him, threatening to split him apart. "I do not kneel," he said. "You always kneel," the echo spat back. "First to the Jedi, then to Sidious, now to him." The vision of Anakin stepped closer, his blue lightsaber ignited, cutting through the dream's crimson haze. You could be free. No emperor, no gods, just you. For a moment Vader almost believed it. Freedom. After lifetimes of servitude, freedom from destiny itself. But then, he felt something else. A hand on his shoulder. Heavy, cold, radiant with golden fire. "Do not listen," said the voice that shook the warp. The Emperor's presence thundered through the illusion, scattering the dream. The specter of Anakin disintegrated into ash and starlight. "They are not your memories," the Emperor's voice intoned. "They are their chains." Vader fell to one knee, Not in worship but exhaustion. They showed me my past, he whispered. Then remember why you left it behind, replied the Emperor. The dream shattered. He awoke aboard the Invictus Rex, the deck lights flickering in time with his breathing. Outside, the stars burned a little darker. He looked down at his armored hands, and for the first time since his rebirth, they trembled. You will not have me, he muttered. But in the silence between heartbeats, a whisper lingered. You already belong to us. It began not with rebellion, but with faith. Across the Imperium, from hive to spire, men and women began to pray to two names, instead of one, the Emperor, their eternal light, and the Black Blade, his shadow made flesh. In the cathedrals of Ophelia VII, the ecclesiarchy tore itself apart. Half of the priests burned the new icons, half blessed them. The Emperor's will is manifest in Lord Vader, shouted some. Blasphemy, roared others. There is but one God in the darkness of this age. Civil war spread like contagion, not through armies, through belief. The Mechanicus split, the Inquisition fractured, and on every world touched by his shadow, the same phrase was carved into walls, into flesh, into memory. Strength is salvation. From the Golden Throne, the Emperor watched. His empire was bleeding, not from chaos this time, but from within. He could feel the psychic tremors radiating from his creation. The currents of the warp shifted, like gravity bending toward a black star. Every prayer directed to the Black Blade stole a fraction of the Emperor's light. He could sense it. Vader's mind, a void of iron discipline, beginning to eclipse his own. You have given them hope, he whispered into the psychic ether. And hope is the most dangerous heresy of all. On the Invictus Rex, Vader stood before the hololithic map of a dying Imperium. Every world he had saved now tore itself apart in his name. They twist victory into worship, he said. That is the nature of men, replied Inquisitor Lyra Vaughn, one of the few who dared speak to him, without fear. They see light and mistake it for a god. Then I will be their darkness, Vader murmured. He turned away, his voice resonating through the ship's hull. Prepare the fleet. If they would burn my name into their banners, I will remind them what it means. But the warp was already stirring. In the eye of terror, something new began to form, a fusion of belief and nightmare. A mirror to Vader's image, sculpted from the stolen faith of mankind. A figure of molten blackness, its armor cracked with crimson light, its breath came in mechanical roars, its voice echoed like his own. The Chaos Gods had succeeded. They had forged their answer. The fifth, hissed Sintinch, born not from sin, but from obedience. A god of control, purred Slaanesh. How ironic. A weapon that believes itself free, laughed Khorne. Perfect. And from their united malice, the shadow spoke its first words. I am not Vader, I am what comes after. On Terra, the Emperor felt it. On the Invictus Rex, Vader heard it. A voice, identical to his own. You cannot escape what you are. Vader's hand clenched. The lights dimmed. For the first time since his rebirth, there was fear in his breath. Ha! HH. The signal came through the nonosphere like a wound. 1,000 psychic choirs screamed in unison before burning to ash. The Astronomicon flickered, not in weakness, but in confusion. For a moment there were two lights guiding the Imperium, one golden, one black. The warp boiled in ecstasy. From the eye of terror, the shadow descended. It wore his armor, spoke in his voice, moved with his precision, but it wasn't him. It was the lie perfected, the echo of every sin, every doubt, every act of violence Vader had ever committed, given form by chaos, and fed by mankind's fear of him. They called it the Dark Mirror, the fifth god's avatar, the anti-paladin of the warp. Its eyes burned crimson, its saber bled light that whispered prayers backward, and as it emerged into real space, entire fleets went mad. Their machine spirits screamed, servitors clawed at their own circuitry, tearing themselves apart to escape the signal of their false savior. On Terra, the Emperor's voice shook the throne room. It is done, Chaos has found its answer. Then I will destroy it, Vader said through the psychic link. You cannot destroy what is made from you, the Emperor replied. You gave it life through every life you took, every soul you silenced. It is your reflection. Vader's voice lowered to a growl. Then I will burn my reflection. The two met above the world of Belakane, a planet already torn apart by civil war in their names. One half worshipped Vader as the Emperor's justice, the other bowed to the mirror, the god of liberation through strength. The skies turned crimson as the twin figures descended, one wreathed in golden fire, the other in bleeding shadow. When they struck, the planet itself screamed, mountains crumbled, oceans vaporized, reality shattered where their blows met, the force and the warp colliding, merging, dividing, refusing to obey. The mirror laughed, Vader's own laughter, twisted and hollow. You fight what you cannot kill. I am the part of you that believes. Belief is weakness, Vader hissed. No, the shadow countered. Belief built empires. Belief made gods. You are nothing without it. Their blades locked, sparks of unreality spraying across the void. I have no gods, Vader roared. Then why? The mirror smiled. Do you keep becoming one? In orbit, Imperial and Chaos fleets alike halted their war. Every sensor, every eye, turned toward the sky. Two identical figures locked in a duel that was rewriting the laws of existence. Every strike sent psychic shockwaves across the galaxy. Every parry birthed new stars that died within seconds. And through it all, Vader fought not to win, but to end it. To kill the one thing the galaxy refused to let him destroy, himself. The Emperor felt it. The moment the galaxy itself began to fracture. Two Vaders, two faiths, two truths made flesh. Every soul in the Imperium echoed the paradox. Every prayer split in two, half toward terror, half toward the void. Even the Astronomicon screamed, its golden beacon stuttering between brilliance and shadow. Enough, the Emperor whispered, and terror itself trembled. He rose from the throne. For 10,000 years he had been still, chained by mortality and machinery. But now, the galaxy burned in his name, and another's. He could feel the wound tearing wider with each second. The gods laughed. The warp sang, and so, the Emperor stepped forward. A wave of psychic light surged outward, gold, blinding, alive, a dying god, awakening for war. Across the void, Vader and his mirror froze mid-strike. Reality itself bent around the force that approached. When the Emperor appeared, he did not descend. He arrived. The stars bowed, the warp recoiled, the gods fell silent. My sons, he said, and for a moment, his tone was not wrath, but sorrow. You fight over ashes, you fight over me. The mirror tilted its head. You made him your weapon, it hissed. You made him your shadow. I am the only consequence. You are the infection of pride, the Emperor replied, his voice cutting through dimensions. The echo of disobedience made flesh, and yet, Vader said quietly, you created both. The air tore open. Warp lightning spiraled in gold and crimson, wrapping around the three figures, Father, Son, and Shadow. The Emperor turned to Vader. Do you know why I made you my black blade? To serve. Vader answered, no, to test me. The mirror laughed, the sound sharp enough to fracture the air. And what did you learn, God? That even I, the Emperor said, am still human enough to err. Then the golden light erupted. The Emperor struck, not with weapons but truth. Raw, psychic truth, the kind that strips away illusion, that unravels gods and ghosts alike. The mirror screamed as its form began to break apart. I am his destiny, it howled. No, the Emperor thundered, you are his temptation. Vader moved. For a brief, impossible instant, both halves, man and machine, sinner and savior, aligned. He seized his shadow by the throat. No more masters, he said, and with the combined power of the Emperor's will and his own fractured soul, he crushed the mirror's core. The warp exploded in silence. When the light cleared, Only two figures remained, the Emperor, radiant but fading, and Vader, kneeling, broken, yet free. "You have defied every god that ever tried to claim you," the Emperor said softly. "Even me." "Then what am I now?" Vader asked. The Emperor smiled faintly, like a dying star. "You are what I could never be, balance." The throne's call echoed across the void. The Emperor vanished, drawn back into his prison, and Vader, the last shadow of humanity's will, stood alone among the stars, neither god nor slave, just a man, breathing. Ha! Kaa. They called it the Reformation of Iron, a new dawn born from darkness. In the aftermath of the Mirror War, the galaxy lay trembling. Worlds once divided by faith or fear now turned their gaze toward a single figure, neither god nor daemon, nor mere man. Vader. His image was projected from the ruins of Terra to the edges of Segmentum Pacificus. No hymns, no sermons, only his command. The Emperor's dream is not belief, it is ordered. And order begins now. The Imperium, long broken under bureaucracy and superstition, began to change. Where priests once dictated dogma, machines enforced efficiency. Where governors demanded tithes in blood, Vader demanded production, unity and silence. Millions of administratum scribes were replaced overnight by servitor networks, retooled through Vader's design. Data streams connected worlds once separated for millennia. For the first time in 10,000 years, humanity communicated. But there was no joy in this unity, only precision. The galaxy had not found peace. It had found discipline. The Astartes chapters stood divided. The Ultramarines resisted, claiming no man, not even the Emperor's chosen, could rewrite Imperial law. The Black Templars fell to their knees in awe, calling Vader. The Emperor's hand returned. The Grey Knights watched in silence, waiting to see if this new order was holy or heretical. And on Mars, the Mechanicus bowed without question. For in Vader, they saw perfection, the union of flesh, will, and machine. The Omnissiah made manifest. The machine god breathes once more, intoned Archmagos Vexloran, as Vader entered the forges. "Your existence completes our equation." Vader said nothing. He simply reached into the plasma furnace and pulled forth molten metal unscathed. "Then build," he said, "not for gods, for purpose." The adepts obeyed, but not all welcomed his rise. Within the shadows of the warp, the four powers screamed. Their greatest plaything, mankind, was slipping beyond their reach. Faith without fanaticism, obedience without corruption, unity without chaos, unacceptable. So they whispered into mortal dreams once more. They stirred fear in the ecclesiarchy, whispered blasphemy to the cardinals. He is not salvation, he is silent. And silence is death. And across the void, rebellions ignited, planetary uprisings, led by priests, saints, and heretics alike, each claiming divine sanction. The Black Crusade of Light had begun, not waged by chaos against the Imperium, but by the Imperium against itself. And at the center of it all stood Darth Vader, the man who refused to die, the machine who refused to rule, the savior who refused to be worshipped. It began in Ophelia 7th, the heart of the ecclesiarchy. From the ruins of shattered cathedrals came a voice that turned faith into fire. A woman clad in black armor, her eyes burning with psychic gold, stood before the masses and proclaimed, "The Emperor speaks again, and he weeps." Her name was Saint Celestara, a warrior once thought martyred in the defense of Terra itself. Now, reborn in light and fury, she claimed a vision that Darth Vader was no savior, but a blasphemy forged by the machine god to enslave the Emperor's chosen children. Millions listened, billions believed, and thus the rebellion began. Celestara's armies grew with impossible speed. Pilgrims, sisters of battle, even disillusioned space marines flocked to her banners. Drawn by her visions of holy wrath, she wielded the light of the throne, a weapon said to be gifted directly by the Emperor himself, a burning relic that vaporized even Necron alloys with righteous fury. He hides the Emperor's truth behind his mask, she preached, her voice echoing across the noosphere. He commands silence when we were born to praise. He demands obedience when our emperor demands faith. He is the darkness wearing gold. World after world fell under her crusade. Imperial shrines burned, vox relays went silent, and the Astronomican's glow began to waver once more. Vader watched the chaos unfold from orbit above Holy Terra. He did not rage. He did not speak. He simply observed. His lieutenant, Magos Vex Lauren, approached, voice reverent and metallic. The cults spread faster than we can quell them, Lord Vader. The faith virus consumes logic. Vader's response was calm, mechanical, inevitable. Faith has always been the most efficient weapon of man, and like all weapons, it must be turned. When his fleet descended on Ophelia the Seventh, it was not to annihilate, it was to confront. Vader walked through fire and ash, unarmed. His armor reflected the burning cathedrals around him, his presence silencing the crowd like a vacuum-devouring sound. Celesta awaited him upon the shattered altar, her golden light blazing against his darkness. "You dare step upon sacred ground, abomination," she spat. "You murdered the Emperor's silence, and call it peace." Vader's respirator hissed. "I have murdered nothing. I ended the noise of fools who mistook fear for devotion." She raised her blade, radiant and terrible, then faced the Emperor's light false god. Their powers collided. Gold and black, faith and will, divine fury and mechanical precision. The ground liquefied beneath them. Angels carved in marble screamed as psychic energy tore through their forms. In that cataclysmic moment, the galaxy held its breath. Two creeds, two visions of humanity's future, one of worship, one of order, locked in a duel that would decide what the Imperium was meant to be. The cathedral burned. Gold and black light intertwined, screaming into the heavens like dying suns. When the brilliance faded, the world stood silent, frozen between worship and terror. Vader knelt amid molten stone, his armor cracked, his respirator faltering. Across from him, Saint Celestia stood radiant still, her armor smoking, her eyes twin orbs of divine fire. "You cannot kill faith," she whispered, voice trembling with equal parts ecstasy and madness. "You cannot silence the Emperor's will." Vader looked up slowly, his words steady despite the static tearing through his vox. "Faith without knowledge is fire without fuel. It burns bright, and dies quickly." Celestia's golden light flared in fury. She raised her blade, but in that moment something changed. Her movements grew uneven, her glow distorted. The air itself crackled, not with holiness, but with the hungry resonance of the warp. Vader rose to his feet, the broken servos of his armor grinding like the groan of dying stars. He extended a hand, not in challenge, but in realization. "You are not the Emperor's messenger," he said softly. "You are his echo twisted." Celestia's voice deepened, splitting into a dozen tones, all speaking in impossible harmony. "The Emperor abandoned you, but we remember." The floor shattered. The stained glass of the cathedral walls melted into molten rivers of color, and through them, faces formed, screaming, grinning, changing. The four powers, subtle and unseen, whispering as one. Faith or logic, both lead to ruin, both lead to us. Vader moved without thought. He ignited his crimson blade. Its hum drowned beneath the psychic storm erupting from Celestia's body. Her holy aura peeled away, revealing something vast and terrible within, a conduit, forged not by divine will, but by the warp's hunger for balance disrupted. Vader lunged. Their blades met in silence, a single spark, and the world collapsed inward. The blast annihilated the cathedral, tearing a crater miles wide. When the light died, Celestia's form was gone, reduced to ash that drifted upward, whispering curses in languages older than stars. Vader stood alone amid the ruins. The ground was black glass beneath his boots. His breathing is slow, ragged, but certain. "The warp," he murmured, gazing at the sky, "cannot abide unity. It feeds on choice, on faith, on fear. He turned to the surviving soldiers, guardsmen, sisters, Skitarii, all kneeling in shock and awe. Then we will deny it everything it desires. No gods, no devils, no masters. He lifted his ruined hand, and for the first time in 10,000 years, both man and machine bowed together. From that day forth, the galaxy whispered a new creed, not the imperial truth, not the Lectitio Divinitatis, but the Vaderian mandate. Order is salvation, faith is fuel, humanity endures.